Okay, we start with the mantra, the Guru mantra. Om Agyantimirandasya Jnananjaya Salakaya Chakshuranmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Om Shanti 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 Ma Saraswati Namastubhyam Vade Kamarupini Vidyarambham Karishyami Siddhir Bhavatu Me Sada. Okay, bowing down to the Guru and bowing down to Ma Saraswati, we start today's lesson. We did 38 verses on chapter 2. Today what I want to do is I want to go ahead, and then we will have an interaction. So everybody will be under the interaction. So I'm going on to verse 32. But what did we do before that? What did you learn in the first 38 verses? The first 38 verses, what did you learn? Can anybody just unmute and tell me that what are the properties of the soul? What are the properties of the soul? Properties of the soul. Fire. No. Soul. The soul cannot be cut into pieces. The soul is eternal.
The soul cannot be burnt.
Yes. Fire cannot burn it. Yeah, it's eternal. Here, weapons do not cut the spirit. Fire does not burn it. Water does not make it wet. Wind cannot blow it or dry it, and the spirit cannot be cut, burnt, wet, or dried. It is eternal, and it is beyond space and time. So at least now you all are aware of what the soul is, that we are not just this body, we are a soul, and we have the soul inside our body which is controlling us. The soul is the living spirit, the life force in our body. It is very, very difficult to comprehend, but what is the equation of a dead body? A dead body is a living body minus the soul. Just when the soul leaves the body dies, right? But it is controlled by our five senses, which we have done. I'm just doing a recap. The five senses, the nose, eyes, the sense of touch, the sense of hearing, the sense of smelling, the sense of tasting. All those are the five senses. And then ultimately, of course, the five types of breath. I talked about the five types of breath: pran, apan, vayam, udyan, and saman. These are the five types of breath which is controlled in our body. Now here I've even given what is death. It is the departure of the soul from the body. Body is made of 10 elements, as I said earlier, 10 elements: earth, water, fire, air, ether, mind, intelligence, false ego, atma, paramatma. All that is joined together. The minute you die, is these five elements take you into your etheric body, and earth, water, fire, air, and ether stays here, and it's cremated or burnt, or that's what happens. And then we even talk about where were we before. We are just manifest in a little span of time, and before our birth we were there, but we were not manifested. After our death we'll still be there, but will not be manifested. So it's just a little span of time when we are manifest, and in that little time we are doing so much of evil. I mean, people can go to the maximum just to please this body, not realizing that this body is very temporary. But if you just realize that the body is temporary, the body is not permanent, then you will understand, and it will at least refrain you from committing sinful activities. The minute you realize this, the first realization one should have is, I am a soul, I'm not this body. I am inside this body. This body is a temple of the soul, and it goes on from, I have to travel from one body to the other, to the other, to the other, depending on my karmas. But what we have to do is we want to come out of this jail. We are in a jail, and we want to come out of it. So, and how do we come out of it, right? by yoga. Yoga is to link. Yoga is not just exercises. Yoga does not mean just doing the exercises, right? Yoga is to link your mind, body, and soul together. Usually our mind is miles away, our body is here, and then our soul is not linked. But the minute you link your mind and body, the soul automatically gets linked, gets elevated. So this is the main thing. You have to understand that the soul is eternal. We are just a little unmanifest span of life, and we have to go beyond this, beyond, much, much beyond. You will either, so that's what Lord Krishna is trying to explain to Arjun. And then, so we're done till verse 38. Now verse 39, the science of transcendental knowledge has been imparted to you, Lord Krishna is telling Arjun. Now listen to the science of God-dedicated selfless service, seva, endowed with which will free you from all karmic bondage or sin. The true knowledge is the knowledge about the soul. Now this is what Lord Krishna is telling him, that I've already given you the transcendental knowledge. It's called the transcendental. What do you mean by transcendent? Transcendental means to go up above. So Lord Krishna is telling Arjun that I've already given you this knowledge. Now I will give you the knowledge of selfless service. Selfless service is so important, and that's endowed with which will free you from all karmic bondage. At the moment, we are all under a karmic bondage. We are just tied. Like a caterpillar, before it becomes a caterpillar, the cocoon is just tied with all the silken threads. I remember my father was always telling us that whenever we have problems, he said, you remove, these are removing your, the silken threads around the cocoon, and when all the threads are removed, then the butterfly will fly. Remember, Doggy? Dad used to tell us this.
We told our
yeah. So Dad always used to, so this is all karmic bondage, and we have to free. Imagine like that mummy you see, the Egyptian's mummy, it's all tied up with all the bandages, but the minute you start opening, you can fly out. So that is the way to free yourself from the karmic bondage. Now the knowledge of selfless service is explained as karma. So no effort ever goes to waste. We think that if I do this is going to go to waste. No. In selfless service, no effort goes to waste. Even if you've helped one person, even with 1 penny or 5 cents, and if you that even is not going to go to waste. All that karmic bondage, everything is counted for. Even a little practice of the discipline protects one from the cycle of repeated birth and death. Now you might say that how can this repeated, Dogi, just mute yourself, this background sounds. So it says that how does this come into being? So, doctor in this life starts, like if you are a doctor, okay, in this life, so a double graduate. But the minute you die, all that knowledge is finished. You have to, in the next life, you have to start from nursery school and then go up. But with spiritual knowledge or your karmic, whatever karmas, good karmas you've done in this life, it carries on in the next life. Then it carries on again in the next life. So, whatever, if this much you've done, you from your birth, you get, birth in such a nice place where you will transmigrate from where you stopped in your past life. Even it says mind intelligence, right, goes with you. So your intelligence also goes with you, but your intelligence with the selfless work, whatever selfless work you've done, it carries on in the next life. So a selfless worker has resolute determination only for God realization, but the desires of one who works to enjoy the fruits of work are endless, which makes the mind unsteady. Now, this is a very important verse. You see, we want more, And if we have more, we want still more. We want more and more and more and more. Then where do we draw the line? Where is that full stop? So that is why it's saying that a selfish person, he wants more and more and more for himself. But try and do selfless without getting more for yourself. Try and always have that a realization that I want to know God. I want to know who I am. The minute you start asking those questions to your own self, automatically you'll see that, again, as I always repeatedly say, you walk one step forward, God will walk 10 steps forward and hold your hand and guide you correctly, guide you through gurus, guide you through books, guide you through incidences which happen in your life. So you're always guided. So but try and limit yourself to what your needs are. The misguided ones who delight in the melodious chanting of the Vedas without understanding the real purpose of the Vedas think, "Oh Arjun, there is nothing else in the Vedas except the rituals of the sole purpose of obtaining heavenly enjoyment." Here, you see, sometimes we are so much bounded by ritualistic activities. I want to do this, and that's it. No. If you don't do this, this will go wrong. If you don't do this, but those are all, go above your ritualistic activities. Rituals are there, but the Vedic rituals have to be followed like the nursery school. But beyond that, it's called Raganuga Bhakti. Raganuga Bhakti is beyond time, beyond place, beyond circumstances. You are just connected with your inner self, like the meditation we did yesterday was so powerful because it made you, I'm sure it must have made most of you realize, and for those who didn't do it, it's still, on the recorder, that you try to connect. You saw that your whole body was becoming invisible. What was left? Only the soul. So understanding in this life that you are a soul, and your body is going to go away, this automatically will transcend you in further and further and further in your life. So try and go beyond this, not just get stuck, me, mine, I. Don't be selfish in life. Do things for others. Do things for yourself as well, but without expectations. We usually have so much expectations. Even if we give a donation, we want pictures and we want, everything. Oh, I give this much. That means you got the popularity, for sure. But you got that popularity where? You got the popularity in this world. Then God has cut you off, finished. Then there, you've already got your reward here, finished. But don't do that. Just try and do your selfless work without having that reward. Oh, I did this, and why am I still suffering? I did this. No. Try and just understand selfless service without expectation. Because when you don't expect things here, you will automatically get things up there. Your credit is going on. Your meter is running up. So whatever good deeds you're doing or bad deeds you're doing, like in the bank, if you've taken a loan, your meter is running on till you don't pay it back. If you are in credit and you have got your FDs, then even your meter is running on and you're still getting your balance going higher without doing anything. So this, even without that, your credits are going up. But do selfless work. That is the main motivation of what Lord Krishna is trying to explain. They are dominated by material desires and consider the attainment of heaven as the highest goal of life. They engage in specific rites for the sake of material prosperity and enjoyment. Rebirth is the result of this action. Now, in this verse 43, it says that what people do is they do ritualistic activities. I am going to do this havan so that I get this. Okay, I'm going to do this so I get this. That even we try to do a barter trade. Sometimes even our fasting, we say I'm going to fast 5 Mondays if I'm going to get this, or if my job is secured, or if my this. It's okay up to a level, but then don't be too much this thing into that barter trade with God. Try and have a selfless work. Do it, yes, do it, definitely you do it, but not as an exchange. And God knows you are a child of God. God will give you. But don't try to trade in with God. God is not a trader with you, right? Self-realization, the real goal of life, is not possible for he who is too much attached to sensual pleasure, power, and whose judgment is obscured by ritualistic activities for the fulfillment of selfish desires. You see, now, when people have this selfish desire that I want power, I want this, I want that, when the wants, I want, I, and want, goes on and on and on, what happens then? The self-realization, which is the real goal of life, is not possible for such people. You might think that this, I'm doing so much, but why isn't it still coming to me? Why? Why am I, not getting the benefits and this, that? Because you're doing a selfish work. Try, if you want self-realization, and the ultimate goal of life is to get self-realization. Realize to yourself who you are. Where do you come from? And what is your purpose in life, in this little manifested life? You have so much to do to get out of this material entanglement of birth, disease, old age, and ultimately death. All these are very painful if we are not prepared. But if you are prepared, make preparations from now. From a young age, teach your children about self-realization. Teach your children in a nice, playful way. You can't force them, come on, do this slokas, do that. No. Teach them to understand. Give them less material entanglement. Give them less things, and more of spiritual. Read to them at bedtime. Read to them stories about God instead of just material stories and, Superman and Batman. It's fine up to a level, but also introduce these things and you'll see the child will grow. Just as Prahlad, there's a story, very nice story of Prahlad Maharaj. Prahlad Maharaj was a little boy and he was born in a demonic family. Hiranyakashipu, his father, was a demon. But because from the time he was in his mother's womb, he was taken to the ashram because his father had gone for tapasya. His mother was taken in the ashram of Narad Muni, and he heard all the spiritual stories, Bhagavad Gita, everything from the womb of his mother. When he was born, he just learned this. When he was 7 years old, he was brought back to his father. And his father said, I am God, you have to worship me. I am the most powerful, most richest, most this, everything, most, I am, nobody can kill me. But his father had a boom. His father did tapasya and asked for a boom, he should never die again. But Lord Brahma said, everybody has to die. So he said, okay. So he thought, he played around with Lord Brahma's mind. He said, I should not die outside the house, inside the house. I should not die at night time or daytime. I should not die by a man or an animal. I should not die by any weapon. And I should not, so he asked for this, and I should not die up in the heavenly, or this thing, or down on the floor. So all those 5 booms were granted to him. And then then every time he tried to kill his son was so small, but he had so much knowledge that Lord Vishnu always saved him. And ultimately, Lord Vishnu came as half lion, half man. It's called Narsimha Avatar. And he saved the little boy from the father. And the father's 5 booms were also given out. He was killed by the nails of half lion, half man. And he was killed on the doorway. It was not nighttime, not daytime, evening time. So, all the 5 booms. So, to save that little boy, because he was so much, connected, you should say, he was so much self-realized that the Lord had to come to protect him. So even us and even our children, teach these examples to the children. Tell them little stories. There's nice stories about Dhruv Maharaj and so many nice stories. And then raise your children in such a way that God will come towards them, help them all the time, and they live a very blissful life. So a portion of the Vedas deals with the three modes of material nature. Now we come to verse number 45. Three modes of material nature are the mode of goodness, mode of passion, and mode of ignorance. Now before, in the olden times, there were a batch of people who were always in the mode of goodness, a batch of people who were always in the mode of ignorance, and a batch of people who were always in the mode of goodness. Goodness, passion, and ignorance. But now, what happened is, in time to go, all these three modes are within us. In the morning, when you're praying, when you're doing your yoga, you are in that mode of goodness, right? And then, when you go further up, you are in the, you go to work, you're disturbed, this is not happening right, that, or you're cooking, something's going wrong. Then, what happens is the mode of passion takes over. And when something really goes wrong, why didn't this happen? Yelling, why, you, me, da 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 da, bullets come out of your mouth. That's when we get into the mode of ignorance. But Lord Krishna says here, rise above the three modes. God is explaining that we have to rise above the three modes, even above the mode of goodness. And that is the mode of self-realization. When you are in a state of self-realization, you will be above these three modes. Become free from the tyranny of pairs of opposites. Remain tranquil and unconcerned with the thoughts of acquisition and presentation of material objects. So Lord Krishna is explaining to him that rise above these three. To the enlightened person who has realized the true nature of the self within, the Vedas become as useful as a small reservoir of water. When the water of the huge lake becomes available, even the Vedas have less value when, you are, of course, Vedas are a way, you are going to the university, you're becoming a doctor, you're becoming a lawyer or whatever. Let's say you're in primary school. When you go to the secondary school, all these books of primary school are not that relevant when you have your standard 1, 2, 3 books, 1 plus 1, 2, because you're already in the secondary school, so these books are irrelevant to you. But at that time, when you were in those lower classes, it was very necessary to go through that. So, Vedas are extremely important, but then ultimately you have to even rise above the Vedas. The last verse of the Bhagavad Gita says, Sarva dharman parityagi mamekam sharanam vaja aham tvam papibhyo mokshasami masucha. Give up all varieties of religion and just surrender to me. I will deliver you. Do not fear. He says, do not fear. That's the last verse of the Bhagavad Gita. The first verse starts with dharma, and then the whole yoga systems, 18 yoga systems, and then last he says, give up all these yoga systems. So this is the very important verse. It's about self-realization. And then verse 47, 48, you have control over doing your respective duty only, but no control or claim over the results. The fruits of work should not be your motive, and you should never be inactive. There's a saying, an idle mind is a devil's workshop. When you don't have anything to do, then the devil gets in and starts making all sorts of plans for you and takes over. So always do not be inactive. Always be active in your work. Always try to do something or the other which is useful to you and which is elevating you, not deteriorating you. Don't do things which are going to bring you down. Do things which are going to take you up. Do your duty to the best of your ability, O Arjun, with your mind attached to the Lord, abandoning worry and selfish attachment to the results. The whole half of this chapter is about selfish. Do not be selfish. Mine, I, because it's so temporary. Everything you are going to give up here and go. But you are selfish, then what happens is you have to pay back. Every little thing is counted up there. As soon as you leave this body, the 5 elements, earth, water, fire, air and ether, the gross body, and your etheric body takes over, etheric body, mind, intelligence, false ego, Atma, Paramatma. That makes your subtle body. As soon as your subtle body goes, you can even see your material body there. I've seen people who have had, you must have even read about, near-death experiences. And then death is very beautiful, extremely beautiful if you are prepared. But if you're not prepared, it is the most fearful thing, very, very fearful. You're in that state of fear and it's so bad. But be prepared and try and do good karmas. Do not try and, cheat others. Cheating is a very big, very, very bad thing, to cheat others, lying, all those things contemplate to your karmas. So be very, very honest first to yourself. Now you see, we are saying, oh, I'm very honest, I only speak the truth. But you are speaking the truth, correct, maybe. But are you also honest to yourself? First, learn to be honest to yourself. Once you're honest to yourself, you'll automatically be honest to everyone. Automatically that honesty will spark from you. Because remember, every action has an equal and opposite reaction. Everything has a reaction. So, whatever you sow, so shall you reap, says the Bible. So whatever you're sowing, whatever you're planting your karma, it is going to fructify. If you plant thorns, you're going to get a thorn tree. And there's going to be a drought and you will start planting nice vegetables and fruits, you'll get that. So be very, very careful with your karma. Always, as I told you right in the beginning of the introduction, when we were doing the introduction, that we do a very nice exercise, 3 lights, right? First of all, whenever you want to do something, don't just bark and start. First, red light, stop. Amber light, contemplate. Am I doing the right thing or not? Is this going to benefit my little manifestation which I have here? Is it going to take me beyond that when I'm unmanifest again? Or is it going to drop me down into the hellish conditions of life? Heaven and hell is also all here. You've got to pay back everything. Or then your green light. At the green light, at the amber light, think what's happening and then proceed. Don't just straight jump the red light. When you jump the red light, there are accidents, right? Even in the material world. So when you jump that light, straight away what happens to your life? Straight away you get your life's accident. So be very careful with your karma. Stop red light. Then contemplate the amber. And then the green light, go. So think before you do anything in life, whether it's good or bad. Do your duty to the best of your ability, O Arjun, with your mind attached to the Lord, abandoning worry and selfish attachment to the results, and remaining calm in both success and failure. Now you see, sometimes what happens, if we are successful, we are so proud and we are so puffed up. Oh, I am this. And then we don't even look at people around you who have even helped you in your life. You even don't look at them. And you just keep on becoming so puffed up. But no, you just try to be equal in success or failure. Yes, failures also come in life. Teach your children even that, less, if failure comes, accept it. Don't be morose. If we teach our children from childhood all this knowledge, just like Prahlad Maharaj, I just told you the story of Prahlad Maharaj, similar to Dhruv Maharaj, he was also a little boy and he also got all the knowledge when he was only 7 years old. So all this knowledge, when given at an early stage, maybe, when you're a teenager or at some time of the other, because of all this material entanglement, it might go away. But ultimately what happens, it will come back to you. It will connect you again, right? So when children are given, you can't tell your children, oh, He's still too young to know all these things. Let him grow. Step by step by step, in their own words, try. This is what I keep on saying. From childhood, like Prahlad Maharaj, from childhood, if the knowledge is given, then it fructifies much faster, and it's much easier for the children to even know what is happening in the world, even when they have to face the calamities of life, because Bhagavad Gita is not just a religious book and that's it. It is teaching you the way of life. It is teaching you how to deal with people, even in your business, how to do, the first chapter is all of us about self-assessment. Whenever we are employing new this thing, or we're starting a new business, it's all on self-assessment, right? So the first chapter is about self-assessment. The second chapter is about, then you move on to prepare yourself. First you do the self-analysis and self-assessment, prepare yourself, right? This is what Lord Krishna is trying to tell Arjuna. Dedicate your work to God without ego and expectations. Work done with now text 49, work done with selfish motives is inferior by far to selfless service. Therefore, be a selfless worker. O Arjuna, those who work only to enjoy the fruits of their labor are unhappy, because one has no control over the results. Now, why are they unhappy? Think. Because they are hankering. I did so much, and what did she do for me? Nothing. Oh, she's just doing so little for me, right? I gave her such a big gift for her birthday, even and she, look at this, she just gave me a little pen for my birthday. It's the thought that counts. Don't judge people from material things. Judge people from their heart, from their love. If they've given you something with love and devotion, that is what carries. So in the daily life, when you detach, when you do selfless, yes, I've given her this, I don't want any returns, it's fine. Okay, if you get it, it's fine. If not, it's fine. Try to use that. It's such a nice, beautiful word I like. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. In life, learn to use that word, and you see, rather than rushing behind things, contemplating things, I want this, 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 and learn to draw your line in life, and you see how happy you are going to be. Bhagavad Gita is all about your day-to-day activities. It is not just do this and finished. Krishna is so merciful. Do this. If you can't do this, do this. If you can't do this, do this. If you can't do this, it carries on and on and on and on. A karma yogi, or the selfless person, becomes free from both vice and virtue in this life itself. Therefore, strive for selfless service, working to the best of one's ability without becoming selfishly attached to the fruits of the work is called karma yoga or seva. All these yoga systems are there. Dhyan yoga, Hatha yoga, all the yoga systems, every chapter Lord Krishna is explaining. But karma yoga is the best, because karma yoga frees you from this bondage. Karma yogis are freed from the bondage of rebirth due to the renouncing the selfish attachment to the fruits of all the work, and attain a blissful divine state of salvation in nirvana. Now we see another very, very vivid example I'll give you, right? Selfless work. Who is another person who does selfless work for you? Your mother. Your mother will cook for you, but she'll not say, oh, how is the food? Tell me the food is nice. Oh, she didn't even tell me, my children even didn't say, my husband even didn't say the food was nice, this was nice. She'll keep on doing her work. She'll keep on doing her work. That is selfless work. She'll not have any expectations, right? That's why we say God could not be everywhere, so he made mothers, right? And that is a very vivid example. So always respect your mother. Don't ever, look down upon your mother or say, because she's always doing selfless work. When your intelligence completely pierces the veil of confusion regarding self and non-self, then you will become indifferent to what has been heard and what is to be heard from the scriptures. So here he's telling, Lord Krishna is telling Arjuna that when your intelligence is completely, so you have to raise your intelligence. And how? How? Practice, practice, practice. As I gave you the example of even Tiger Woods, right? That Nike hat he wears and he gets $50,000, and somebody asked him, how come you're earning so much? How did you get to this level? He says, the only thing I did is practice, practice, practice. And that's why I am where I am. So in life, wherever you want, but you want to reach beyond that material, this thing, you want to reach beyond that. And not only beyond that, you want to make your life sublime. You want that your life at the moment should be sublime and not with so much miseries. You see people who always are hankering, oh, this is not enough, enough. When they don't draw lines, you see how unhappy they are. They're so unhappy within themselves, with others. When your intellect is confused by the conflicting opinions and ritualistic doctrine of the Vedas, shall stay steady and firm, concentrating on the Supreme Being, you will be enlightened and completely united with God in trance. I mean, a person can be a housewife, a person can be a, working man, anything. You don't have to wear those orange clothes and sit in the temple and then you call those people renounced. No. This is a wrong concept we have. Sometimes this, this thing affects, but there are many pseudo-gurus, even if I said in the beginning, who wears orange clothes, who wears, but their mind is always hankering for other things. Oh, give donation, and then they keep on increasing this, and so it could be anyone. It could be somebody in the material world just doing the normal activities, but from the heart that person is detached. See the elevation of that person and get knowledge from such people, and you will distinguish. As I said, amber light, you stop and you see what is happening and you will be able to distinguish. Arjun said, oh Krishna, what are the marks of an intelligent person whose intellect is steady? What does a person of steady intellect think and talk about? How does such a person behave and others and live in this world? As I said, Arjuna is asking that. But as these days what we think is just the people who are staying in the temple, people with orange clothes, or people in the church, or people, those are the ones. But here Lord Krishna said, when one is saying not that kind of people. It could be anyone. Even it could be your daughter, or it could be your son, or it could be a little child you can be getting knowledge from. When one is completely free from all desires of the mind and is satisfied with the bliss of knowing the Supreme Being, then one is called an enlightened person. So you have to do your work, you have to do your duties, children have to study, you have to do everything. Lord Krishna is not saying stop everything and go in the forest, renounce. No. He is saying these are not the enlightened people. Right? Because you can give up everything. You can say, I'm going in the Himalayas, going for meditation. I'm cut off from the world. No. Later on in these verses, this chapter is so important. I don't know whether we still have time. Yeah, we do have some time. So, it is so important that it's not these people, the people who are staying with the material world. Last time I said, like a lotus, staying in the dirt and still above everything. So a person is called enlightened stage of steady intellect, whose mind is unperturbed by adversity, who does not crave pleasures, and who is completely free from attachment, fear, and anger. There are 3 gates. Later on, we'll come to this chapter. 3 gates leading to hell. Do you know what they are? Lust, anger, and greed. These are the 3 gates of hell. Now you'll say, but it's just natural to be angry. Some things don't work my way and I'll be angry. I'll scream, shout, laugh. Yes, if you are doing something in a very naive way, yes, it's natural to get angry on your children when there's something wrong because you are guiding them. For guidance to others, externally you get angry, but internally the mother still has that love for that child. She's not going to detach and say, get out and throw the child away. She'll get angry, but she'll still be with the child in her heart. Similarly, if at that level you're to get angry, it's fine. But for your sense pleasures, things don't work your way. I want this. Why didn't it happen? For your material senses, your material this thing, then that is bad. Try and control your anger. Lust. Don't be too lusty, And greed. Don't be too greedy in life. Be satisfied with whatever God has given you. I gave you the example of a man who was climbing the steps. He didn't have slippers. He didn't want to go in the temple. When he came down, there was a guy who without legs, and he was trying so hard to climb the steps. And then he says, thank you, God. He ran to the temple. Thank you, God. You didn't give me any money to buy shoes, but at least you've given me legs. That guy doesn't even have legs, and he's still coming to you. So, these are many, many examples. Be thankful to God for whatever He's given you. Don't keep on complaining to God, I don't have this and I don't have this. Right? So, the fear, biggest fear we have is the fear of death. And now look at this in this day-to-day world today. Everybody is in a state of fear because of coronavirus. What if I get it? What if I get it? What if I get it? I'll do this. What if I get it? And that fear is building up. And what happens with the fear? Your Muladhara chakra, your base chakra blocks completely. When your base chakra blocks, other negative enzymes start secreting in the body. But I know it's very hard. We have to be very careful, very extremely careful. It's not that, I'll give you another example, that there was a guy who always said that, God will always protect me. God will protect me. I have full faith and trust in God. There was a mad elephant coming, and he just kept on walking. And another person came and said, look, you will fall. I mean, that mad elephant will crush you. Move out of the way. Move out of the way. He says, no, God will protect me. I'm not moving out. He just kept on walking, and that elephant crushed him. The other guy kept on warning him, but the elephant crushed him. He died. When he died, he was a pious person, so he went back to God. And he asked God, why did you do this to me? And God said, what? He says, look, I had so much faith in you, and that's why I kept on walking, and still that elephant crushed me. Why? And God said, I kept on warning you from that person. I was the one who was inside that person talking and warning you. But you didn't listen, my dear son. You didn't. So sometimes God has His mysterious ways of warning us. Right? So these all warnings are there, coming back to the coronavirus, that you have to be careful, social distancing, cleanliness, everything is there, of course. Those warnings are there, and we have to abide by them. But ultimately, you have to pray, God, ultimate is in your hands. Whatever you think right, you will do for me. I have to be extra careful, but these are the things. I'm just bringing this into a day-to-day practices, what is happening. So surrendering to your heart, and God is in your heart. God is nowhere else to be found but in your heart. Just in meditation is so important. Yoga is so important. Keep on doing your yogic practice to connect with your breath, your mind, your soul, and you see how beautiful your life becomes. The mind and intellect of the person becomes steady who is not attached to anything, who is neither elated by getting desired results nor perturbed by undesired results. When one can completely withdraw the senses from the sense objects, just like a tortoise. You see, the tortoise, as soon as you touch, all the limbs go in. Similarly, when these material things try to touch us, try to withdraw yourself like a tortoise and see the difference. The desire of the sensual pleasure fades away if one obtains from sense enjoyment, but the craving for the sense enjoyment remains in a subtle form. This subtle craving also completely disappears from one who knows the Supreme. So dogtailing your senses. Now, Srila Prabhupada really gave a very good example that you have to go dogtail your senses. Now, he said there was a devotee who was always bringing his son in LA, and he said that he was he said, whenever I'm coming to the temple, there's a McDonald's there, and my child always wants to go and eat the McDonald's. And Prabhupada said, dogtail his senses, feed him very well at home and bring it, and then he won't even look there. So that's what he did, and ultimately. So if we have some desires, try to dogtail them towards the positive. There's yin and yang. So try and go into the positive energy and come out of the negative energy, because both the energy is going around you all the time, winding around you. But the minute you unwind the negative energy, automatically positive. Like if I want to go from here, I'm in Kisumu, I want to go to Nairobi, I don't have to keep on looking back that has Kisumu gone, automatically I'm moving towards Nairobi. So similarly, if you start having pleasurable tastes, higher tastes, right? Then automatically those lower tastes will fade away. Automatically they'll fade away. You don't even have to keep on thinking, and then suddenly you might think, oh, is this what I used to do before? Oh my God. So suddenly you feel that, you realize from yourself. So restless senses, oh Arjun, forcibly carry away the mind of even a wise person striving for perfection. So this was an example given of Vishwamitra even, that when your mind is restless, then it will want to do anything and everything. So try to control your mind. Again, through your breathing, through meditation, through devoting more towards the Supreme. One should fix one's mind on God with loving contemplation after bringing the senses under control. So without engaging the mind in godly activities, and godly activities is also helping others, doing anything, playing games even is a godly activity. Okay, so all these positive things are all godly activities. Negative things are all bad. So try to rise above them. I have 8 more verses. Can I go beyond time a little bit? Okay, 10 more minutes. While contemplating the senses objects, one develops attachment for them. And from such attachment, lust develops. And from lust, anger arises. And from anger, the bewilderment of the mind. So what happens, when we don't get what we want, right? These sense objects are so, like I'll give you a vivid example of a drunkard, right? He starts drinking or a smoker, or little by little they start smoking, little in the beginning, okay, he doesn't like it, he's coughing. Then what happens? While contemplating the sense objects, one develops attachment. Soon he'll become an alcoholic or he'll become a chain smoker. That attachment develops. And then it's very difficult, or drug addict, or you don't get it, then you become angry, right? So this is what it's relating to, that the certain things you really become attached to, or even prostitution and all those things, says 4 regulative principles: illicit sex, intoxication, then meat eating, and 4th one?
Meat eating.
Yeah?
Meat eating.
I said meat eating. Intoxication, like 4 regulative principles.
Illicit sex.
Gambling. So 4th one is gambling. Illicit sex, gambling, meat eating, and intoxication. These are the 4 pillars of sin. Try and go above those. We don't get, and that's where anger arises. You'll see when a gambler is losing, he gets so angry, so agitated, he doesn't know what to do, and he'll try, and every which way he'll try to get that money, right? But if you don't do these things, then of course there's no need to be, so from anger, delusion of wild ideas arise. What happens? A gambler loses, he wants to go and steal, or he wants to go and do anything. From delusion arises bewilderment of memory. When memory is bewildered, intelligence is lost. And when intelligence is lost, one falls down into the material whirlpool. So you go down into, have you seen a whirlpool? It just pushes you down. That's what happens. So try to rise yourself above this. 4 more verses. A disciplined person enjoying sense objects with sense that are under control and free from attachments and aversions attains tranquility. So have attachment, like even a musical instrument you're playing, you can have attachment to that, and you're playing it for God, you're playing it for your inner self, you're playing it for your inner peace, that's all fine, right? All sorrows are destroyed upon attainment of tranquility. The intellect of such a tranquil person soon becomes completely steady and united with the Supreme. Question now, how do we come out of attachment? Right? The answer is change your habits to serve the higher source. So you try to change your habits. Just changing those little habits will get you there. There's neither self-knowledge nor self-perception to those who are not united with the Supreme. Without self-perception, there is no peace. And without peace, there cannot be any happiness. I told you earlier, once again, I give you this example. Somebody went to Lord Buddha and said, I want peace. So Lord Buddha said, chop the I, rub the want, and what are you remaining with? Peace. So in life, try to just be very, try to not hanker. It says, deserve before you desire. So deserve peace before you start desiring for peace. You might be a very restless person, but you're still desiring for peace. So deserve before you desire anything. Okay, without self-perception, there cannot be without peace, there is no happiness. The mind, when controlled by the roaming senses, steals away the intellect as a storm takes away the boat on the sea and from its destination, the spiritual source of peace and happiness. So, just the mind, what happens when controlled by roaming senses, right? The roaming senses, you want, the tongue wants to keep on. So, all that, my battery is running low. So all that ultimately, what will happen is that it will get you to the so the roaming senses are taken up as the boat in a stormy, this thing is taken up. Okay? Alright, so now we will be just doing 2 more verses and we'll end here. Therefore, one attains peace when all desires dissipates. One who abandons all desires and becomes free from I and mine gets the peace. So we'll wind up here now. This is the last verse. Okay. O Arjun, this is the superconscious state of mind. Attaining this state, one is no longer deluded. Gaining this state, even at the end of one's life, a person attains the very goal of human life by becoming one with God. So, in a nutshell, we are finishing chapter 2 now, and just time is up. I just told you I'll just take 1 hour. I think question and answers. What I want you to do now is chapter 1. So next lesson is on Tuesday from 4 to 5. And I'll just unlock everybody and just try and bring in your questions, or even people who are on Facebook right now. If you have any questions, you can ask me on Facebook, or you can even just WhatsApp me. And I'll try my level best. We'll try to have an interaction in the next lesson, and we'll end today's lesson now. So I hope 3 main things in this chapter we heard is, we are a soul, we're not this body. Try to understand that, go beyond, above, and then karma, that what is your karma, what is your true this thing, and what your attachment should be. Where does your attachment should be? Try and refrain from the sinful activities and try and rise above, connecting to your heart, your mind, your heart, your intelligence, self-conscious, all should be in one line. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Let's just say a little prayer before we stop, okay? Deep breaths in and out. He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Shradha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchanu Gaurangi Shradhe Vrindavaneshwari Vishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye. Jai. Okay, we say Om once. Okay. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Peace be to all. Peace be to all. Peace be to all. May there be unity and peace amongst everyone. Just rub your palms, bring the palms against your eyes, take a few deep breaths in and out. Thank you, and we'll see you all on Tuesday now. Thank you.